All right, this is the roof section, and this is a prototype made out of wood of a hinge. I'm going to make this out of steel. Probably put one on each side. So this is like the normal 3 3/4 inch overhang and 3 3/4 inch overhang. So that's what the middle slot is. And we got a pin that slides in. So let's just, all right. And now let's try, it's cold out here. Putting gloves. Okay, so this is flush, so we could do a double long, so I'd have another roof section, another roof would up against here. So that allows that. The middle part allows 3 3/4 on each end, and then this one will allow this to be a 7.5 inch overhang. And then this would be a flush one on this side, so it depends on which end I put the double long on. So this is kind of like a good, it seems feasible. Make this out of some maybe 1/8 inch. Weld these things in, make a little bracket out of here. Doesn't have to be anything too, it's not very heavy. So that is, okay. So this spacing, 3 3/4, is dependent on this overhang here, which is 3 3/4, and that is dependent on how that sits on the edge. So how I get either flashing over it or just bend it over. So before I can make this, I need to really figure out how my roofing panels go on and get secured on the ends. I would make it shorter if I could, and then that would shorten up this, which shortens up this, right? And then it shortens up how much of that I need, so it's less wood, less weight. So I like to minimize how long I have to make this to make a good edge with that. And the thought was to go double wide. Like this won't work for double wide because a double wide, this has to slide here and that hinge will be in the way. So the thought was to rotate this whole thing, put this end down there, that end up here. So let's take a look and see what that would be like. So if I was to spin this roof and then use, this would be flush with this outside wall so that the double wide would be here and the next roof panel would be down that way. And then I would do a bracket here because this doesn't ever have to go this way. It was just gonna sit like this. So I can do a bracket up this way, attach it to here, maybe the top part, so when it flips up, it won't be, I don't want this part to rock back into the other section. This part needs to swing up, pivot here instead of pivoting at the bottom. So I could put a bracket up here and attach it to the side wall, or the end wall, I mean. And then this outside back wall goes away because I don't want a wall here, a solid wall, because this is a double wide. So I'm just going to make a internal frame to support everything. So this will be gone. And I think there's enough clearance there so it won't hit the front. Yeah, so that might be an option. And it just means that this roofing has to finish flush here. It can't overhang because that is going to be on that side. And this side can't have a cap on it because this originally was up here. Right, so I can't have a flashing that comes up and over because then when this becomes the other side, the water gets trapped. So I do need to make it flashing underneath, roof panel on top, and probably just caulk along there, so it depends on which angle it's at. The water doesn't get underneath. So before any other further things happen, I need to cut those sections, put them on here, and figure out how my edging is going to be so I can make it shorter perhaps a little bit. And then that's going to drive these panels. You know, for each inch that I can cut off here, shorten this an inch, this board gets 2 inches shorter because when I have to go on both sides, that's 2 inches. So that's a significantly less amount of wood that I would need.